My 6-year-old nephew called me a spare daddy because his mom said I was just a backup plan. Hi, I'm Mark, 34, and I always thought I was the fun uncle until my own sister used me like a pawn in a twisted custody game. It started with a dinosaur, a big, dumb, animatronic T-Rex I spent 2 weeks saving up for. I'd seen my nephew, Leo, go feral over Jurassic Park last summer, so I figured, hey, he deserves something cool for his 6th birthday. I'd just pulled double shifts all week. My rent was overdue, my back ached, but when I showed up to the backyard party with the T-Rex wrapped in neon paper, I felt like the hero again. The cool uncle, the guy who shows up even when no one else does. Leo ran over, wide-eyed, yelled, "Rexy!" and threw his arms around me. I crouched down to hug him, heart full. Then he whispered, "You're just my spare daddy in case my real one leaves." I blinked. "What'd you say, bud?" He grinned innocently. "That's what Mommy said. She said you're our backup plan, that you always pay when Daddy doesn't. You're like Plan B." His mom, my sister, Tara, laughed from across the yard like it was adorable, like it was just some silly thing kids say. I laughed too, sort of, tight-lipped, hollow. But inside, something snapped. I stayed 20 more minutes, watching her drink wine with her mom friends, watching Leo's actual dad, Travis, scroll his phone like he couldn't wait to be anywhere else. Then I walked to my car, sat there for an hour, and opened my phone. I still had the texts, the ones Tara sent me last month. Honestly, I could probably get more dollars if I said Leo needed both your support. Travis is useless. You're way more dependable than the man who actually knocked me up, lol. And the worst one? 2 daddies, 1 kid. Might as well milk it. I never replied. I just sat with it. But now I was done being the backup plan. So I took screenshots and I sent them to Travis. No context, just a message. Thought you should see what she's saying. Did I know what would happen next? No, but I did know I wasn't going to sit quietly while my sister used her own son like a pawn in a game I never agreed to play. Travis didn't reply right away, not that night, not the next day, but I could see he'd read the messages. 3 days later, I got a text from an unknown number. "You just blew up my life. Meet me at Mac's Diner, 7 p.m. Don't bring her." I showed up expecting to get punched in the face. Travis was already in a booth, sleeves rolled up, staring at an untouched coffee like it had answers. He didn't look angry, he looked tired. "I knew she talked shit," he said without even saying hi. "Didn't think it was this bad." I sat. "She's been telling people I don't pay for Leo. I've got receipts for everything. Daycare, meds, food, even that damn trampoline she pretended came from Santa." I didn't say much, I just nodded. "She told her lawyer I abandoned them," he added, shaking his head. "I live 15 minutes away. I take Leo every other weekend. She's poisoning him, man." And then he said it, the thing I didn't expect. "I'm filing for full custody." I stared. "I want to do it right this time. Leo deserves better than being a chess piece in her drama." He paused. "You're going to get dragged into this. She'll come for you first." He wasn't wrong. Tara showed up at my apartment the next night like a Category 5 hurricane, screaming, sobbing, accusing me of ruining everything. "I trusted you," she shouted, shoving at my chest. "You think you're some hero? You just handed my ex everything on a silver platter." "You handed it to him," I said calmly. "I just hit forward." She didn't want to hear it. She called me a traitor, said I'd broken the family, told me Leo would forget me forever. I didn't yell back. I just stood there as she cried on the sidewalk, mascara melting. Because deep down, I knew the truth. I'd been enabling her, covering for her, throwing money at problems and calling it love. And Leo, he deserved more than a spare daddy. He deserved the real ones in his life to step up. Even if it meant setting fire to every bridge that brought me here. 2 weeks later, I was served. Officially, notice to appear, witness in custody proceedings. Unofficially, I was now a grenade lobbed straight into the middle of my sister's legal meltdown. The papers came on a Wednesday. dropped off by some guy in cargo shorts who said, "Good luck, man," like I was heading into a war zone. I was. Tara went full scorched earth. She started texting me at 3 a.m., long, unhinged rants about loyalty, betrayal, how I'd always been jealous of her perfect family. Then she pivoted. "You don't know what Travis is really like. He'll screw Leo up worse than our dad ever did." Then she got weirdly sentimental. "We used to be a team, Mark. Remember when Mom left and it was just us?" Then she flipped again. "Hope the judge sees your pathetic little savior act for what it is." I stopped responding, but I kept every message. Because here's the thing. The moment I stepped into that courtroom, I realized how bad it really was. Travis's lawyer laid it all out. Recordings of Tara screaming at Leo during pickups, screenshots of her telling friends she lied to get more support, even a note Leo's kindergarten teacher had written about concerning language he used during playtime. And then they called me. I'd been prepping for days, stomach in knots. I'm not some courtroom badass. I'm just a guy who buys too many dinosaur toys and avoids confrontation like it's a sport. But when they asked, "Mr. Benton, in your words, how would you describe your sister's parenting?" I told the truth. She loves Leo, but she doesn't always show it in ways that are healthy. She uses people, especially men, to fill financial gaps and emotional ones. I've covered bills. I've heard her call Travis a walking wallet. I've watched her teach Leo that love means leverage. Tara was right there, red-faced, silent. I looked at her, and I let it happen for years because I didn't want to rock the boat. But that kid deserves better. Not richer, not more gifts, just better. My voice cracked a little on that last word. Afterwards, Tara wouldn't even look at me, but Travis shook my hand, and his lawyer said, "That probably did more than you think." Thing is, I wasn't sure how to feel. I wasn't proud. I wasn't vindicated. I just kept thinking about Leo, sitting in his room, wondering why everyone around him suddenly hated each other. Because no matter how right I might have been, he was still the one caught in the middle. The first time I saw Leo after the hearing, he didn't run up to me. No "Uncle Mark," no dinosaur roar. He just sat on the swing in the park, hands in his lap, kicking the dirt with his heels. Travis brought him. He stood back, giving us space. I walked over slowly, like approaching a wild animal that used to trust me. "Hey, bud," I said, crouching. "Are you okay?" He shrugged. "Mom says you don't like us anymore." My throat tightened. "That's not true. She said you told the judge she was bad." I sat on the swing next to him, the chains creaking under my weight. "I didn't say she was bad. I said some things weren't okay. Grown-up stuff. Stuff we have to fix." He looked up at me, eyes wide. "Are you mad at her?" I paused. "I was. But not at you. Never at you." He stared at his shoes. "I miss when we all did stuff together." I didn't have the heart to tell him that version of together was built on duct tape and guilt. So instead, I pulled something out of my jacket, a mini T-Rex, one of those wind-up ones with the jerky little legs. I twisted the crank, set it on the bench between us, and we both watched it totter off and fall face first into the grass. Leo giggled. Not a full laugh, but enough. Then he whispered, "Can I tell you a secret?" I nodded. "Here's Mommy say she was gonna move far away so Daddy can't find us." I froze. "You sure she said that?" He nodded. "She was yelling on the phone, said the courts were rigged and that you were a traitor, and that Daddy doesn't deserve me." I kept my face still, even though I felt like I was watching a car skid toward a cliff in slow motion. Leo kicked the dirt again. "I don't want to move." I texted Travis that night, told him what Leo said. He called his lawyer the next morning, and that's when things went from ugly to unhinged. The next day, Tara posted a rant on Facebook, tagged me, Travis, even her own lawyer, called us child-stealing bastards and accused us of trying to erase her. Then she went to Leo's school and tried to pull him out early without authorization. She told the front office she had emergency plans. The school called Travis instead. That's when he filed for an emergency custody hold. And that's when Tara disappeared. No calls, no texts, no Leo. For 3 days. 3 days where every minute felt like an hour. We didn't know if she'd left the state, if Leo was safe, if I'd made everything worse. Until one night, just past midnight, I got a call from a blocked number. It was Leo. He whispered, "Uncle Mark, I'm hiding in a closet." I swear to God, I stopped breathing. I couldn't even process the words at first. "Hiding where, Leo? Are you okay? Is Mommy there?" There was a shuffle, like the phone rubbed against fabric, and then his tiny voice again, whispering, "She's sleeping on the couch. We're at our friend's house. I don't like it here. It smells like pee." I was already moving. I threw on a hoodie, grabbed my keys, and called Travis on speaker. Leo kept talking, quiet, scared. "She said we're going to California, but I don't want to leave. I don't want to go on a forever vacation." My stomach dropped. Travis picked up, groggy. "Mark, what the hell?" "He's with her. He called me. They're still in town, some friend's house. She told him they're going to California. We need to call the cops, now." Travis's voice changed instantly. "I'm on it." I kept Leo on the line as long as I could, piecing together clues. Something about a yellow couch, a broken fish tank, a woman named Tiff who had a dog that barked too much. Eventually, the line went dead. By then, Travis had flagged the call with his lawyer, who called the judge who just issued the emergency custody order. The police were notified. An Amber Alert wasn't filed, not yet, but a welfare check was approved within the hour. The next part moved fast. Travis's cousin, who used to date Tiff, guessed the address. The cops showed up at 3:40 a.m. Tara opened the door drunk and furious. Leo was still in the closet, curled up with a blanket and a half-eaten sleeve of crackers. They took him out gently. She screamed at the cops. At Leo. At me when I showed up in the parking lot of the station just as Travis was pulling him out of the cruiser. "You planned this, you manipulative little bitch. You've always wanted to take him from me." I didn't say a word. I just looked at Leo, who clung to Travis like a koala, eyes big and wet. And then he reached for me, arms out, wordless. Travis let him go, and that kid launched into my chest like he'd just survived a war. Because he had. That hug lasted forever. When he finally pulled back, he said, "Can I stay with you sometimes too?" And that's when I cried. Not a little, not silent, full-on, stupid, ugly crying in a police station at 4 a.m. Tara was arrested that night for violating custody orders and endangering a minor. And as horrible as it all was, it was the first time I felt like maybe, just maybe, Leo was finally safe. But the fight? Far from over. The next morning, my apartment looked like a daycare center during a tornado. Leo had passed out on my futon, wrapped in my old Star Wars blanket, surrounded by dinosaur toys I forgot I still had. I sat across the room, drinking reheated coffee that tasted like cardboard, trying to figure out what the hell just happened over the last 48 hours. Travis texted around 9 a.m. "He's good with you. Judge signed the temporary custody hold. Full hearing in 10 days. Also, thank you. I don't think I ever said it." I didn't answer right away. I was watching Leo sleep, wondering how long it would take for that haunted look to fade from his face. 10 days. 10 days until the court decided whether Leo would stay with Travis, go back to Tara, or get placed into some awful limbo shuffle between the two. Meanwhile, Tara's meltdown went full public. She posted videos crying on Instagram, claiming Travis kidnapped her son, calling me a brother-shaped Judas. Then she messaged me directly. "You're gonna rot for this. You don't destroy family and walk away clean." I blocked her. And yet, somehow, despite everything, the worst part wasn't the threats or the chaos or the lawyers circling like vultures. It was explaining all of it to a 6-year-old. That night, Leo sat across from me eating cereal for dinner because that's what he asked for, and honestly, I didn't have the heart to say no. In the quietest voice, he asked, "Is Mommy gonna go to jail forever?" I set my spoon down, took a breath. "No, bud, I don't think so. But she's in trouble right now because she made some dangerous choices. She said you lied. I didn't, but sometimes people say things when they're scared. It doesn't make it right, but I think your mom needs help." He nodded like he understood, but the truth sat way above his pay grade. He was 6. He just wanted stability. Someone who didn't disappear, someone who didn't yell. After he fell asleep, I called Travis. "I think he should stay here until the hearing," I said. "He sleeps, he eats, he's calm, and I got nothing but time." "You sure?" "Yeah, I already stepped in. Might as well do it all the way." And I did. For the next 9 days, I played full-time uncle turned dad. I packed lunches, I did kindergarten drop-off, I learned how to braid a plush dinosaur's tail, and that Leo refused to eat anything remotely green unless it was gummy. And at night, we talked. Not about court, not about mommy versus daddy, just life. He told me about his dreams, how he wanted to be a zookeeper, but only for the safe animals. How he used to pretend his toys were listening when he cried. How sometimes he heard mommy crying too, and he didn't know if he was supposed to hug her or hide. And I realized this kid had been raising himself emotionally for years. He didn't need 2 daddies. He needed one adult who didn't make him feel like a tool in someone else's toolbox. I was never meant to be a parent. Hell, I couldn't even keep a plant alive. But somehow, over the course of those 10 days, something shifted. I stopped feeling like the spare and started feeling like a real option. Not a replacement, not a backup, just someone who showed up and stayed. The day of the full custody hearing arrived like a freight train. Travis wore a suit. I wore my best attempt at one. Leo stayed with a social worker for the duration. Tara showed up last. She looked cleaned up, like someone coached her. New blazer, hair tied back, eyes cold. When she saw me, she didn't speak, just walked past like I was a stranger. And maybe I was, because the version of me she'd always known, the doormat, the dependable idiot who picked up the slack, he was gone. Court convened. Lawyers spoke. Documents were reviewed. Tara's defense tried to paint her as overwhelmed, not malicious. She sobbed on cue, but it didn't land. The judge took one look at the voicemail Leo left me, the one from the closet, and everything changed. You could see it on his face. Even Tara saw it. And when the ruling came down, full custody to Travis with supervised visitation for Tara, pending evaluation, Tara didn't cry. She just sat there, mouth tight, as if the wind had finally stopped blowing in her direction. Me? I just felt quiet, like something massive had been lifted, but also left behind. I went home that night to find Leo had made a card. It was just a stick figure drawing.
2 tall guys, 1 short kid, and a dinosaur that looked more like a lizard with bad legs. Inside it said, "Thank you for being my sometimes daddy. I love you big." I sat on the floor and read it 3 times, because no matter what the judge had ruled, that was the only verdict that mattered. The first Saturday after the ruling, Travis brought Leo over with a duffel bag half his size and a smile that could have lit up my sad excuse for a living room. "Movie night?" Leo asked before even taking off his shoes. "You pick," I said, "but if it's that weird dinosaur musical again, I'm faking a power outage." He laughed. "Then I pick the sad lion movie." So, emotional trauma it is. Great. Travis stayed for a bit. We had coffee on the balcony while Leo set up his blanket fort of doom in the living room. "You think she'll actually show up for supervised visitation?" he asked. I shrugged. Depends how deep the shame spiral goes. But she'll surface. Tara always does, when she needs something. He nodded. "She called me yesterday, asked if I'd put in a good word with the court evaluator." I raised an eyebrow. "And?" "He said I would, but only if she got real help, like actual therapy, not journaling on Facebook Live." "Think she will?" "No idea," he sipped, "but I'm not waiting around for her to get it together anymore." That stuck with me, because for years I had waited around, held my breath, covered her gaps, played the better-than-nothing role like a chump. But that version of the story was over now. That night, after Travis left, Leo asked if he could sleep over forever. I smiled and told him maybe just Fridays for now, and he seemed fine with that. We watched The Lion King under his fort, me on the floor with a stiff neck, and him curled up with his toy Rexy like nothing bad had ever happened. And I realized this was the good part. Not the courtroom, not the takedown. The after. The quiet, the calm. The bedtime story that didn't end in yelling. The first time Leo fell asleep knowing no one was about to leave. Later that week, Tara's lawyer sent a request. She wanted to write a letter to Leo to start repairing the relationship. Travis agreed. I helped read it to him. It was not great. It tiptoed around everything. No real apology. Lots of "I was just scared" and "grown-up things are hard." Leo listened, nodding. When I asked how he felt, he said, "She's trying, but she needs a timeout." I nearly choked laughing. Smart kid. At school, his teachers said he was more focused, calmer, less guarded. He started drawing more, mostly dinosaurs eating vegetables. A week later, he gave me another drawing. This one was just me and him holding hands. No Travis, no Tara, just us. He said, "This one's just for when we hang out." And I couldn't help but wonder, if I'd always been the spare, why did it feel like this was the real thing? The day Tara finally showed up for supervised visitation, Leo didn't cry. He didn't hide behind my leg, didn't ask if he had to go. He just looked up at me and said, "Will you still be here when I get back?" I nodded. Always. The visit took place at a family services center. Sterile room, cheap chairs, someone behind a glass watching like it was a science experiment. Tara brought him a stuffed giraffe. Leo said thanks and set it on the table like it was radioactive. When he came back, he didn't say much, just ate a grilled cheese and quietly asked if we could watch cartoons instead of a movie. I didn't push. Later that night, as I tucked him in, he asked, "Do mommies get better?" I sat on the edge of the bed. "Some do, if they want to, if they try." He nodded, thoughtful. "Okay, I hope she does." Then, "But I still want to live here more." I smiled. "That's up to the grown-ups in suits, but you'll always have a room here, and dinosaur cereal, and me." He grinned. "And maybe a puppy. Don't push it." 6 months passed. Tara kept up the supervised visits, mostly. Missed a few.
Blamed traffic, migraines, the universe. Leo stopped drawing her in his pictures, started calling me Uncle Dad like it was the most natural thing in the world. Travis and we figured out a rhythm. I had Leo 3 nights a week, sometimes more. No one was keeping score anymore. We weren't perfect, but we were consistent. And that, I think, is what healed him. One night, Leo climbed onto the couch beside me, blanket over his shoulders like a cape. "You know what's better than a real daddy?" he said. I braced myself. "A spare daddy who never quits." I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my drink. Because after everything, the courtrooms, the late-night calls, the closet whisper, the guilt, the fear, this kid still saw me, not as a backup, but as someone who stayed. And in a world full of people who leave, that was everything.